everyone. Welcome to Infused Church. My name is Simone.
And I'm Caitlin.
Thanks so much for joining us online this morning. We're so happy to have you. And in case you're new, welcome. We are Infused Church, a church for imperfect people exploring faith and finding community with one another. And we really want you to build that community while you're online as well.
Yeah, we want it to be more than just a viewing experience. We really want it to be an online church. So to do that, we encourage you to engage in the comment box. Let us know what's going on. Talk to your online host, Stacy, today and chat with her. Tell us where you're watching from and introduce yourself to everyone that's watching along with you this morning. And to make that a little easier, we do have a little question for you guys to answer in the comments as the seasons are changing. I think it finally felt like fall here in Iowa this weekend, minus all the rain, but it felt like fall weather-wise. And so as that changes, we thought about a question about change. So what would be one thing you would change about your daily routine if you could?
Yes.
Sky's the limit here.
Absolutely.
I would.
What are you going to do?
I don't know if this counts as like a change. I would have an espresso machine at
Oh.
home. Get an espresso every morning.
It's funny how both of ours are kind of like sleep related. Because mine, I would try. I think it'd be really nice if I started waking up early.
Oh, okay.
Just, I'm not doing it.
I could probably also say like I would also work out every day or something, but you know, coffee sounds better than that.
Yeah.
So let us know in the chat box what you guys would change about your daily routine if you could.
Yeah, we'd love to hear it.
Yeah.
Today we are starting a brand new series called Be Rich. And so this is an annual giving campaign actually that we do here at Infuse, where we raise much money and we just give it all away. And we are just trying to help a hurting world. And so we have some specific places where we're planning on different projects, I guess you could say, where we're planning on helping and giving this month. And so it would be great to hear and learn about those projects today.
Yeah, I'm excited to get that kicked off. It really feels like the holiday season starts when Be Rich starts around here. So things really start rolling, that's for sure. Other upcoming things that we have going on Tuesday, November 15th, we're going to have a State of the Church meeting. Everyone is invited to attend, jump in, join in the conversation, because we have a lot of changes coming around here, and we want to let you guys know, get you in the loop, and also have you let us know how things are going for you at Infuse. So if you want to join, there will be an online viewing, I'm sure.
Yeah.
If not, there is now because I said it.
There will be a recording afterward for you to watch.
Yes.
Yep.
Awesome.
Absolutely. Last thing to just keep on your mind is our giving tree. So on November 20th, we'll launch the giving tree, which is a great way to give to families here in Tiffin. And it's also awesome because you can give online as well. So just keep that in your mind. We'll touch more on that the rest of this month, though. But other than that, we'll plan on seeing you after service. We hope you enjoy today's message, and thanks so much for joining us.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
Oh, that was bright. Good morning. Welcome to Infuse. We're going to be singing a new song this morning. I'm going to invite you to stand and sing with us. And it's a song about how our peace is anchored in Christ. And how no matter like the storm we're going through or how much our seas are raging, he's going to walk on that water and he's going to meet us where we are. And I want you to focus on the part where it says, you don't have to look no further. He's the hope that you need. And just let that resonate with you if you want to stand and join us. There's a way back home for the wandering soul. There's a peaceful calm for the restless one. And if you're so far gone, you can't see the shore, well, just lift your eyes and look to the Lord. 'Cause he's walking on the water, he'll calm your raging sea. No, you don't have to look no further, he's the hope that you need. Oh, if your sails are torn and tattered, and the storm just won't cease, take hold on the hand of the Savior, he's the anchor of peace. into a hopeless floor. Oh, the wreckage of the fallout, there was no way out. Then I saw the lighthouse. Oh, I was thinking when I felt your weight. You put my feet back on the dry land. When I was so far out, love made a way out. Oh, and thank God for the lighthouse. Oh, he's a walking on the water. He'll calm your rage and sea. No, you don't have to look no further. He's the hope that you need. Oh, if your sails are torn and tattered, and the storm just won't cease, take hold of the hand of the Savior. He's the anchor of peace. Oh, he's the anchor of peace. Oh, 'cause he's walking on the water. He'll calm your rage and sea. No, you don't have to look no further. He's the hope that you need. If your sails are torn and tattered, and the storm just won't cease, take hold of the hand of the Savior, 'cause he's the anchor of peace. Oh, he's the anchor of peace. Oh, he's the anchor of peace. There's a table that you prepared for me in the presence of my enemies. It's your body and your blood you shed for me. This is how I fight my battles. There's a table that you prepared for me in the presence of my enemies. It's your body and your blood you shed for me. This is how I fight my battles. And I believe you overcome your heads and pray with me? Lord, we just come to you with an open and seeking heart today. There are some of us who our seas are raging. We don't know what to do. We don't know where to look. I just hope that you guide our eyes towards you, our anchor of peace, Lord. Be with us and just help us lift our eyes and our hearts to you in those moments of need, Lord. And just to fully trust in you, that you will guide us through those hard times. I pray this in your name. Amen. You may be seated.
Hello and welcome to Infused Church. My name is Melinda and I serve on our operations team. If you joined us in person today, you may have gotten a program when you walked in. In it, you will find some helpful information about Infused Church, today's service, and a giving envelope. If you've come prepared to give today, drop it in the offering bucket on the welcome table in the back of the gym. You can also give through our Infused Church app or on our website. If you'd like to fill out the connection card in your program, you can drop it in the offering bucket as well. If it's your first time with us today, welcome. We're so glad you're here. If you haven't already, stop by the first time guest table in the entryway to receive a free gift. It's our way of saying thanks so much for visiting today. For those of you joining us online for the first time, fill out our online connection card and we'll drop a thank you in the mail. Also, online guests, for the best viewing experience, go to live.infuse.church and adjust your video quality by using the gear icon in the bottom of your screen. Now, here are some things happening at Infuse.
We are inviting you to be a part of our giving tree to help families in our local community. We'll have a tree set up in the back of the gym starting on November 20th. You can shop for a child by taking a tag off the tree, purchasing a gift, and then returning it unwrapped by December 11th. You can also shop online at infuse.church/givingtree. Thank you for your generosity.
Finally, don't forget to check in at Infuse Church on Facebook, follow us on Instagram, and download our app so you can watch messages, see upcoming events, and more. Thanks again for joining us.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Infuse Church. My name is Caitlin.
My name is Simone.
We are so glad that you are joining us this morning. We are up here to tell you guys the top 2 things that you need to know this morning. Very important.
Yes, the first thing, I think we all felt it this weekend. The seasons have definitely changed. And so we also have some change happening here at Infuse, and we want you to know about it. So next Tuesday, that is November 15th at 6:30 p.m. right here in Tiffin Elementary at the Tiffin Elementary School Library, we're going to have our State of the Church meeting. This is a great way to learn about the changes or updates happening at Infuse and also join in on the conversation. And so we really encourage you to be there if you can. We will have it recorded so you can watch it after the fact, but the best way to enjoy it is in person.
Yeah, to really join in on the conversation, like you said, so
Absolutely.
that we can all hear from each other. And I think it's covering up, but I think it says snacks provided. We'll hope.
I think it says childcare provided, actually. The children are not snacks.
So I'll bring the snacks. You can blame me when there's no snacks and you show up at the meeting. So snacks or childcare, we'll see. One of the two.
You'll find out.
Yep. Okay, the next thing on our top 2 things to know today, number 2, is that we want to let you know of a way that our generosity here at Infuse, the people at Infuse, had a chance to impact others through our gifts and our time. Because we throw some pretty awesome events in Tiffin, if you've been to those before, and we were able to partner by giving of our time and talents to First Church in Cedar Rapids as well with their event. They had a trunk or treat last weekend. My family was able to go, and it was amazing to see how many people were impacted by this. Like, the line was so long. They reached over 600 people. I think it says more on that in the video in their community. But it was really awesome to see how our time and talents, that generosity, really made a difference. And I feel like I was kind of like, where's Waldo? I did spot my husband in a full dino onesie in here somewhere on the video today, so keep your eyes peeled. Okay, so let's check it out. was more cameos than I thought in that video. That was great. So we appreciate all of your generosity. If you would like to give financially, there are 4 easy ways to do that you can find on the screen. The bucket at the back of the gym, you can give online via the website there, our app, or via mail to the address listed on the screen. But also, if you'd like to be generous with your time and your talents, we appreciate that as well. So you can sign up to do that through infuse.church/connect.
Absolutely. And so this is the part of the announcements where I remind you all and remind myself too that the church isn't a building or a school. It is the people like Kaylin and myself and everyone here and everyone online. So we encourage you to find someone in the room for the next 3 minutes, find someone that you haven't connected with before, and we won't leave you hanging. We have a question you can ask them, and that is...
So today, who inspires you and why? And we know this could be a little deep, but you could also make it as lighthearted as you would like, right? Like Simone, who inspires you?
I said Winnie the Pooh.
Winnie the Pooh, people. It could be as simple as that.
Yeah, he's really comfortable in his fur and
great
values
body
friendship,
image.
so good for him.
Yeah, so think on that, share with your neighbors next to you and with those you're watching with online in the comment box. 3, 2, 1, go.
I got hungry in the middle of the night, and I went downstairs, and I ate all of your Halloween candy.
I thought you were on a diet. I'm telling on you, Willie. Juliana. That's so rude of you. Tomorrow I'm going to eat your stuff. For real. And I'm not going to eat you no goodies. Just puppy. That's so rude of you.
I'm really hungry.
Well, you gotta eat some vegetables, not candy. Oh my God! Why ate it again?
I ate it all.
Why?
I ate it all because I was hungry.
Oh!
I'm joking.
Why do not fight candy leather?
I don't know what you're saying.
Papa ate it.
Papa ate it.
He didn't get diarrhea. He didn't get diarrhea.
All right, let's just be honest. I'm going to be honest in this moment. How many parents may have had some of their kids' Halloween candy? Absolutely, yes. I think of it either as a tax, or they just need help, and as a parent, I'm here to help. Thank you for your honesty. The good news about today is we're not going to be talking about taking. We're going to be talking a whole lot about giving, because we are in our annual series. We do this every year in the month of November. It is called Be Rich. And I'm going to be honest with you because I feel like all pastors should be honest. And that is that two things. I have an agenda today, and we're going to talk about money. Both things that pastors are notoriously bad and have a bad stereotype, a bad rap around, having an agenda and talking about money. But today is your lucky day. Get excited. It is. And I think today the agenda is worth considering. And if you consider the agenda, and my main point for today, if you can, I think it's worth considering that. It will help you in how you think about your money. So I think it's worth talking about today. All right, so we're going to start with a fairly deep question. And that question we're going to spend a little time on so we can all reflect on this question. What have you been given in your life? What have you been given in your life? What are things, tangible and intangible things that you have been given, that you have not earned? You didn't work for them. You just got them because you existed. What are things that maybe you haven't even created of your own hand or done the work for, but you were given them anyways, simply because you just existed? Now, I know you're going to say some of these examples that I'm going to give you might feel a bit dramatic, but I think they're actually kind of real. We just don't think about them that often. For example, you were given hands and feet at birth. And you didn't think too much of that. In fact, your whole life, you didn't think too much about your hands and your feet because, well, they've always been with you. And so for the last how many years, you have gone through life and you have grown and you have played and you have learned and you've experienced and you've changed the world because you had something that not everyone has. Hands and feet. All of your life. How much do you appreciate them? Do you even think in terms that you were given these things, that you did not earn your hands or your feet? Wouldn't that be a weird life if you had to earn your body parts? But you don't. You were given them. They were a gift. In fact, our hands and our feet are really quite superior. Among all animals and all creatures in the world, you can do some incredible things. Humanity, together, through our hands and our feet, have done incredible things throughout history and time, and I'm sure we'll continue to do so into the future. How many of you have ever received, you don't have to raise hands, but just think about it. How many of you have ever been given a scholarship or a grant? How many of you have ever gotten a card from grandma or grandpa or uncle or an aunt with money in it because it was your birthday? Like, did you really earn it? Maybe when you turned 16, somebody helped you or you got a car. Maybe somebody throughout your life has helped you with school supplies, just simply being prepared for school every year. You were given that. I'm guessing, when you went to kindergarten or first grade, you didn't pay for those school supplies. Maybe in education, throughout your entire life? Have you truly earned all the education that has been poured into you throughout your life? Now, maybe you earned some of it, right? Maybe you've done some work to get some portion of that. But for a lot of those things, a lot of those gifts, there was never an intentionality or an expectation that you were to pay that back, right? That you got that, you received it, but it wasn't like, well, now you owe me. All of us, if we live in America at least, have protections and rights under the law. What did you do to earn those? Because for many of us, we simply have those rights because we were born here and nothing else. Some of us have traveled abroad, and so you have learned that as an American, you have, with your passport, the ability to travel to nearly almost every country in the entire world, and that your money, the money that you earn every single day, is widely accepted across the world as like the premier standard of currency, simply because you are an American or you have an American passport. And that's not something that everybody has, is it? Some of you had to do some work for that, but how many of us have truly worked and earned the rights that we have? Especially considering the fact that, because I looked this up, especially because in the history of America, somewhere in the neighborhood of a couple 100,000 people, almost 500,000 people have died in combat to protect those rights and freedoms and protections. I don't know about you, but I definitely have not worked hard enough to earn what I've been given in that arena. Now, maybe, some of you go through every day, you wake up in the morning, you're like, oh, I'm just so grateful. And you spend at least a half hour thinking about all the things that you have been given in your life. And so you're on board with everything I'm saying so far. And that's phenomenal. Thank you. You're making my life easier. For the rest of us, including myself, that's not how I wake up every day. Most days, I don't even get a choice when I wake up because I have children. I'm not bitter. But if you're like me, you tend to push back. You tend to not want to accept the fact that you were given some of these things and that you have then some responsibility, or you have some responsibility to be grateful for that which you have been given. I don't know about you, but like for me, I think there were plenty of checks I got in the mail from my grandparents that I just kind of felt like I deserved it. Well, that's the least you can do, send me money, Grandma. That's what grandmas are supposed to do. You know what I'm saying? I just kind of thought I deserved it. Didn't really think that I earned it. Now, some of you certainly maybe have taken care of your body. You've done right by the body that you have been given. But let's be honest, did you really earn it in the first place? My ego, and I think sometimes our ego, our entitlement, our I deserve what I have kind of mentality makes us forget how much we really truly have been given. I mean, just think of your life, just simply your existence. What did you do to earn your existence? I mean, this is kind of funny and also serious. What did your parents do to earn your existence? Like very little, really. Now, moms, you certainly have done far more than the guys have done to bring children into the world. I do not deny that. However, there is not a single parent in existence who has woven together the fibers of life in a human being, to bring the cells together and the eyes together and the hands and the feet together to bring life into this world. It is just truly beyond our comprehension. And we've made massive leaps in science, yet we are still so far away from being able to fully grasp how this amazing thing occurs, and that is bringing a life into this world. You were given a life, whether you're a parent or your own. How many of you have ever earned love before? I mean, every night, lately, Everly, our 3-year-old, really wants me to lay with her for a little while, and we say prayers and all that kind of stuff. And so I'll lay in her bed with her, and then she'll grab my arm and she'll arrange it on her pillow, and then she'll lay right here. And then, and this is adorable, it's overwhelming, honestly. Then she'll roll over, give me a big hug, like as hard as she possibly can. And I know it's as hard as, because she'll do it with her sister Easton, her 1-year-old, and she'll like strangle her. But she'll do that with me. And of course, for me, I think it's fantastic. Not with Easton, but for me, I think it's fantastic. And she'll give me that big hug and she'll say, I love you, Daddy. You are the best daddy. I didn't tell her to say that. She just does that on her own, I promise you. And I'm just telling you, it is the most overwhelming feeling to have such unfiltered and honestly undeserved love. Like, yes, do Stephanie and I go out of our way to bring them, opportunities and education and food and all of that stuff? Yes, but to deserve that, I'm not that great of a parent to deserve such unfiltered, unrestricted love. I mean, if you've ever been in a long-term relationship, married, dating, or engaged, I mean, do you really earn the love your spouse shows you? Have you earned it? Or was it given to you? Have you earned the forgiveness they show you, the patience they show you, the mercy they show you? Or some of that just simply given? And I'll hear, especially guys, they'll say, well, I work hard for my family, and I support them. And I'm like, oh, okay, so you're paying for your family's love then? Oh, no, okay. So what is it? Personally, I'm not convinced that love is necessarily something in its purest form, in its most right form, in its God-given form, is something you can earn. It's something that's given. So that's what I want you to think about for the next little bit. And this is just a few short minutes. I mean, if you took a second to 20 minutes to think about all the things you've been given, I mean, we could go on and on and on. And so with that as the backdrop, I just want to ask you a couple questions. If this is all that you've been given, if so much is given, then the first question I want you to consider is, who is the giver? And I know some of you are like, oh, there's your agenda, it's Jesus. Okay, don't skip ahead. Just think about it. If so much is given, who is the giver? Because if it's given, it comes from somewhere. Or some of you, are you just fate? Are you just a roll of the dice? It's just a chance that you exist, and that's all there is. But I think for most of us, we know deep in our hearts that is just not a satisfying answer. That all the things, if you list them, all the things you've been given, now this is just a roll of the dice. It's just a matter of fate and maybe some good decision making. If that's what you believe, does that really give you peace? Or is there someone who has given that to you, and maybe that idea, if you explore it further, which we don't have time to do today, will bring you that peace? Because for me, when I take stock of everything I've been given, when I sit there or lay there and Everly's giving me a huge squeeze and saying I'm the best dad ever, which is probably true, but it humbles me. It really does. It makes me feel so grateful for everything. And I personally, I just want to direct that gratitude somewhere. And I'm thankful to her, but what did I really do to earn that moment? There's got to be something bigger. And I have a heart that wants to direct that gratitude somewhere. Who's that? Who does that go to? Where does that go? And if you're really honest with yourself and you recognize you've been given so much, the other question I'd want to ask you is this: what do you do with everything you have been given? What do you do with it? Do you just get more until you're satisfied? More and more and more until you're satisfied? When is enough? When is enough money enough? When is enough stuff enough? When are you going to stop wanting more? And the answer that you and I both know, if we're, again, honest with ourselves, it's never going to be enough. We'll never be fully satisfied. It will never be enough. King David, near the end of his life, actually kind of answers these questions for us. And that's where I want to look for just a quick second. King David's a very famous character in the biblical story. If you've been around church at all, you've probably heard his name come up in just because of his place in the biblical story, and which is in the Old Testament, the first part of the Bible. He lived around 1000 or so BC, give or take a few years. And he gives us, through his kind of the end of his life, an answer to these questions. And David is famous because, and I think this is really important to set this up, he's famous because he was a real person, yes, a king, but he was also a very real person with real failures, real moral failures. But the thing about David is, even in the midst of the challenges, even in the midst of the storms in his life, he had a faithfulness to God that just, man, if you read his story, it's just like, wow, I don't know if I would have done that if I were in the same situation. And that's honestly what made him such a big name in the Jewish history and also in the Christian history, is because his faithfulness to God. And in his faithfulness, he also took Israel, which was kind of a backwater country, often taken over by a lot of other bigger kingdoms. He took Israel to its pinnacle, to its height, to its heyday. He conquered a ton of land, became very powerful. The nation became very powerful, very dominant in its military. And with bigger land and with a bigger kingdom and with more people, what happens economically? Generally speaking, you become what? Wealthier. Yeah, you become rich. And that's what the nation of Israel was in David's time. And so people love David, and people have loved David for years because of his faithfulness, despite his failures, and what his impact was on the kingdom of Israel. And so in response to everything David had, he did something that most kings don't do, or kings will do as kind of an afterthought, or something to placate the people. David gave. David was generous. David started building a massive temple in Jerusalem, not to himself, as so many kings and emperors and so-called gods have done over the centuries, over the millennia. He built it to God. He built it to Yahweh. And it looked more or less like this. We don't have a ton of archaeological evidence because it's so old. We'll probably find it one day. It's in Israel, but if you've ever been to Israel and you walked around Jerusalem specifically, there's people's houses probably on top of the temple. Or there's a temple on top of the temple, depending on where it is. So it's not the easiest thing to find and dig up. But here's a ballpark of what it looked like. It was very grand, very big, and inside very ornate. It's kind of like a cutout of artistic rendering of the temple. But it was very grand. And to build something this grand in 1000 BC was an incredible feat. And so at the end of David's life, they're preparing to acquire all the stuff. He doesn't actually get to build the temple, but he acquires all the things and items and to help make this temple possible. And so in the last chapter of one of the books that document David's life, 1 Chronicles chapter 29, it's the last chapter in the first book of Chronicles, he gives us an answer to this question, but also it is worth taking 1 Chronicles chapter 29 and just going home and reading it. You don't even have to have a lot of the backstory to just take some really cool things away from David's account, okay? So here's how he's ending his life, and here's how he reflects upon everything that's been going on. Here's how he reflects upon building of the temple, and I just think it's so incredibly powerful. Here's how he starts. Or it's kind of halfway through, but here's when he really gets into the meat of it. He said, "But who am I, and who are my people?" Okay, this guy's like one of the wealthiest men in all of the world at this time. And this is his response. Who am I? Really, in the grand scheme of things, who are my people even? All these people that have come to help put this temple together, who are they? His response is humility. Humility almost honestly to a fault. Who am I? That I deserve this. Humility almost to a fault is how he meets everything that he has been given. He goes on, who am I and who are my people that we should be even able to give as generously as this? I'm not just amazed for everything I've been given. I'm amazed, and for everything I've conquered and everything I've built. I'm humbled just simply by the fact that I can give. We can collectively give so much. Who am I to deserve this? To be this wealthy and to be able to give so much. His response to everything he had been given was to give. And you and I, we've been given so much. We've talked about this before. You can think about all the things we listed at the top of the message. But think about this, and I've said this, I'm not trying to beat a dead horse here, but I just think it's so powerful. If there's two adults in your home, just two adults only, and you make combined between the two of you $45,000 a year, you are in the top 6% wealthiest wage earners in the world. How many people we got in the world now? 6-7 billion people? You are in the top 6% in the world. And if you question it, just go to howrichami.com and type it in, and it'll tell you. And you might not totally like what you find. If you, as a combined couple, make $65,000 or more a year, you are now in the top 2% of wage earners in the world, in US dollars. Now, I get you may not feel like you're in the top 2% of the world. I get it. Because you're like, well, Taylor, I have top 2% of the world bills, okay? Like, with such great power becomes such great responsibility, Taylor. I get it. But it doesn't change the fact that you have ability, you have opportunity, you have wealth that 98% of the world does not. That 98%, which are a lot of billions of people, do not have. And let me ask you this one hurts. I mean, I feel convicted just asking this question personally. Did you really earn the top 6% spot? Did you really earn the top 2% spot? Did you really earn that spot? What are the chances that someone in the world that's instead in the bottom 2% of wage earners in the world works harder than you do, more diligently than you do, yet they're in the bottom 2% of the world? Could you imagine the lifestyle of the bottom 2% of the world? I don't think you can find that hardly in the United States. You have to literally be in another country. Because even the poor here are richer than the wealthiest abroad. Personally, that humbles me. It makes me want to say, but who am I to be able to have all that I have? To be given so much wealth, because I didn't earn that. I didn't earn my spot. Really? A lot of it was given. A lot of it was out of my control. So what should I do in response? And David's answer was to give as generously. To give generously. And he doesn't stop there. He goes on. He says, everything comes from you, Lord. Everything comes from you, God, and we have given you only what comes from your hand. Lord, even what I have isn't really mine. I have all this gold, but I didn't create gold. I have all this silver and jewels and all these things, but I didn't create this. These things, Lord, have existed before I existed and will exist past my existence, as is true with all of us. All the things that we have existed before we had them and will exist long after we pass. It's not mine. Honestly, it's a little arrogant to say it's really mine. It might be more accurate to say I just steward all that I have because it's truly been given to me. And then David, in 1 Chronicles, it says he died. And I want you to hear the last word. I gotta put it up on the screen. I just want you to hear this last, one of the last closing sentences about David and his life. Because I think for some of us, we're like, hey, if we give, we're going to be broke. It's going to be hard. Life is going to be hard. Here's after giving generously, here's what it said about David. Then he, David, died at a good old age, full of days, riches, and honor. Wow. David, who started as just a really common shepherd in the fields, playing a harp, fighting off lions and bears, oh my, became king and died and still lived generously. The only response, I think, to all that we have been given, to the giver who gives, is what 1 Timothy or Paul said to Timothy. Command them to do good and to be rich in good deeds and to be generous and willing to share. To be rich, not in money, but in generosity. To be rich, not in finances, but in good deeds. And to be generous and willing to share. That's what, as Christians, we should do. For those of us who follow Jesus, to say, wow, I've been given so much, and I just want to give in response. I wasn't totally playing a game with you, but for some of you, I went around and I gave out a bunch of Starbucks gift cards this morning, okay? And they're $5 gift cards, so you can get a coffee. I don't think you can get a latte anymore, okay? And for a second, imagine if I had given you, I couldn't get everybody a gift card. I'm not Oprah, okay? But imagine if you had gotten a gift card, unexpected. You just walked into church today, you got a gift card, and you'd be like, wow, that's really nice. I really appreciate what Taylor has given me, and I'm so looking forward to this pumpkin spice latte. Okay? That's a totally valid response. What happened there, though? Because I do the same thing. I'm not trying to put myself on a moral high ground here or anything, okay? We said, oh, we're giving it, it's mine. We're giving it, it's mine. But it's not. You didn't earn it. It was given. So what should you do if you've been given so much? What's the right thing? What's the thing that's going to bring peace and joy, not just to your life, but the lives of others? What's going to be the most God-honoring response? What does love require of me? I'm not going to tell you the answer. I'll let you figure it out this week. It has something to do with that, by the way. Just a little hint. All November, every November, we do Be Rich, okay? Where we raise a bunch of money, where you pledge a bunch of money, and we give 100% of it away. Because we believe we have been given so much, the right response to that generosity is to give. The right response to the fact that a lot of what we've been given really isn't something we earned. And in humility, we give. And we support. And so that's what we do as a church. For Be Rich, if you don't know, we go around and we vet projects. We find projects throughout the year that we can get behind and help, like usually nonprofits or organizations or individuals that already exist doing great work, and we partner with them. We want to support them. And we say, how can we help? Okay? And then we give. We raise money and then we give to help those things happen. And in the past, over past Be Riches combined as a church, we have given about $45,000. Just raise it in a month and give it away. It's pretty incredible. And so last year, we raised thousands and it was given away. We gave to help Haiti with food and fuel because at that point, not that it's a ton better now, but at that point, prices were just astronomical. That was when there was a ton of gang activity and there was a big earthquake. And so we helped specifically an orphanage. Some of you know this particular orphanage is called Bethel in Haiti. We're going to have a lot more on that next week, so be here next week for that. We help and we do what we can. And then we gave a little bit to help with a new church start. And if you want more information on how that's going, be here on November 15th for the State of the Church meeting, okay? Be here. If Infuse is your church home, you are welcome to attend that State of the Church meeting. We just like to have a separate meeting to do church business, and so that's the meeting to be there for. And if you can't make it to the November 15th, we'll record it and just hit me up, or we can get you a recording. We gave money to help start the Jabez Cafe, which is on the other side of Iowa City, specifically to help students, generally high school students or newly graduated students who have disabilities, learn on the real world job training in a restaurant in the food and beverage industry. And so sometimes the most some of those individuals can do is just work at this cafe, and sometimes they can go on and get other jobs in other places. And so that has gone really well, and it's really cool. If you haven't had a chance to go over to the east side of Iowa City, you just Google Jabez Cafe and go over and have some food over there throughout the week. And then last year, one of the big things we did is we supported Alex, who is an Iowa City native, and his family, and they're over working through Mission Aviation Fellowship, flying airplanes into remote parts of Papua, Indonesia. And if that sounds like a lot, it's because it is. And we specifically helped, one of the big projects we helped with was renovating a school. And I didn't have time to collect all the pictures, partially because I got some of the pictures like 2 months ago, and then they made some really good progress over the last 2 months. And last night at 11:54 p.m., I'm not joking, Alex sent me an email. I'm like, I can't put this into the sermon at this point. So in 3 weeks, we're going to talk more about how that project's been going. But here is the school. This is the school. I know it doesn't look like an American school, but it is a remote part of Indonesia school. And so I love this picture. So they flew the plane in. Actually, next slide, I think there's a picture of the plane. Nope, never mind, my bad. Oh well, okay, so there's a wing of the plane. And so Alex flies it in, and then everybody helps. And so here's all the people, and they're helping to take all the supplies from the plane to the school to start renovating. The renovations look really cool. I mean, they've just brought this building back to life. And so the teacher of the school, he actually sent you all a thank you just last month. And so I downloaded it, and hopefully it's going to play. So let's see how this goes. And it's translated. The translation works out pretty well.
Siang, ini dari Otosi mengucapkan terima kasih Gereja Amerika yang sudah mendukung saya untuk sekolah saya di Kampung Membramo, di Membramo, suku Tause. Dari saya mewakili untuk mengucapkan Gereja Amerika, dan saya tidak pikir bahwa Gereja Amerika akan bantu saya sekolah di kampung saya. Ini rencana Tuhan luar biasa. Waktu saya mengajar, saya tidak pikir Gereja Amerika akan bantu di sekolah sana, begitu. Ya. Sebab itu saya bersyukur, dan sekarang ini sama Pak Alex ya ada kami sudah bertemu dan kami sudah bicarakan, dan kami akan masuk hari Kamis nanti ke kampung. Jadi hari ini kami persiapkan untuk masuk. Terima kasih.
Yeah, so the school looks fantastic. So they've started classes back up. It's funny, his email. The teacher and Alex, they went into the village to get all the desks that everyone had taken from the school back into the school so kids could start learning, and then doing renovations, new roof, windows, paint. It looks much more like a place where kids will want to learn. And so we're going to share more on that here in a couple weeks, but that's just something that you gave to last year that's really going well. So this year, for Be Rich 2022, we've upped the goal. Last year it was $10,000. This year it's going to be $14,500. We're going to give to a number of different things this year. The first one that I want to talk to, that little guy right there, is we're going to do a ministry scholarship of sorts, okay? So throughout the year, sometimes people will come to us and say, hey, I really have a heart to help these people, or I really have a heart to spread God's love into this, or learn about through an education or a class or something, and ultimately to share Jesus' love with others. And so we want to be able to help those people throughout the year. And it's not a lot of money, but a little bit sometimes goes a long way. And so this is just going to create a little scholarship fund that we hope to give away every year. And maybe we can start doing this as a recurring basis, and people can apply for it, and we get to fund it throughout the year, not just in November. And then the next one is Neighbors in Tiffin. And so there is about a $600 debt of utility bills in the city of Tiffin. So city of Tiffin, that's like water and sewer. So people who are just genuinely behind and struggling to get ahead. And so we're gonna pay that debt off, and then we're gonna be able to give them a reserve so that as the winter goes on, which the city administrator said is, understandably usually the toughest time for people to pay their utility bills, they can help those people who really could use a helping hand at their discretion, which is gonna be awesome throughout the winter as long as there's money available. And then we're gonna work with all the counselors in the Clear Creek Amana School District, specifically Ashley, and she has been a great point person to work with. There is a Clear Creek Amana joint counselor fund, and they use this fund to help kids with a whole slew of things, everything from like hygiene concerns to clothing, to food scarcity issues, and to financially fill in the gaps where they don't have existing supplies or things that have been given. And specifically every year, they give about 100 or so snow boots and pants away. And that is a really huge draw on that fund every year. And so they said, if you could help relieve that burden that we take on every year as kind of a collective group of counselors, that would help us to really be able to be freed up throughout the rest of the year to help kids as they're needing help. And so we're going to give to help offset the cost for those 100 new pairs of snow boots and snow pants, which is awesome. And then the last one that we're going to do is we're going to help out again with Bethel Orphanage in Haiti. Ken, the director, the American side director of Haiti, is going to be here next week, and he and I are going to be talking, and you're going to be learning. It's going to be a lot of fun. But in COVID, just as a little backstory, Bethel Orphanage in Lakai, Haiti, lost all of their funding. They had one source of funding that funded the entire orphanage, and that organization just straight up stopped funding them all of a sudden. And so they were in a very dire space. And so Go Serve Global, which is an Iowa-based nonprofit started by a couple of farmers up in Northwest Iowa, has done everything they can to help out. They haven't been able to afford like taking on the entire orphanage and funding it and everything. And so another church in Minnesota, a very generous giver here in Iowa, and Infused Church have kind of tried as best we can to step in to fill the gap. And you all have tried in the past to step in. And so in the past, we've gotten them like new windows and doors instead of just bars and open air. And then last year helping with food and fuel, and this year, and then you guys have also in the past, even our kids area has helped sponsored some of the kids, which is awesome. Like you can go onto their website, I think I have a screenshot, yeah, and you can go help sponsor some of the kids. And this is really cool because last year, none of these were filled in. These are 5 shares, so you can like help in shares. You don't have to like sponsor every month what it costs per kid, but you can do shares. And I think about 25% of these have been filled in, which is, wow, just way better. And I think some of you have taken that step to go beyond just Be Rich in November to help sponsor some of these kids. Anyways, and so I reached out to Ken and I said, hey, Ken, what if we could give you $6,000, what would that do? How could that help at Bethel Orphanage? And he said, what would be really great is to buy mattresses for all the kids. To which the next logical question, which you really don't want to ask because you know the answer is not going to be great, what are they currently sleeping on, Ken? And he said, cardboard. And I said, wow, that's a real bit of a gut punch, okay? So we're going to do $6,000 and give that to buy, ship, and deliver mattresses and bedding to all the kids at the orphanage this year. And so that's going to be really awesome. Like I said, Ken's going to be here next week to talk about it. But we're just going to be rich and be generous in kindness and good deeds. And that's ultimately our goal. And to reach that goal, that $14,500 goal, is not just a financial one. It really isn't. Because ultimately, here's my agenda. We don't do this every year just to make an impact, though we will. Because anytime you give, generally there is an impact. It's also for us to experience and learn what it means to be generous, what it learns to appreciate and acknowledge really all that we've been given, all that we don't deserve, and in response, give to others. And so this year, not in a guilt or shame kind of way, I'm just going to challenge us all. And I understand if this is not possible for everybody, but I want all of us to think in terms of mattresses this year. We're going to give in terms of mattresses, because if there's 50 kids in the orphanage and we're giving $6,000, each mattress is about $120 to buy, ship, and deliver, okay? And so I hope all of us will kind of dig deep a little bit and we'll give or pledge in increments of $120, okay? $120 to buy 1, 2, 3, 4 mattresses. Like the kids, they're gonna raise $400 to buy a couple mattresses, the Infuse kids. And so parents, you can be talking to your kids about how they can give and why we give. And you can pray personally together about, hey, Lord, what would it look like for me to give this year? And so encourage you, if you have follow-up questions after today, or you're ready to give or be generous or pledge, to go to infuse.church/be-rich. We have a website there with Q&A, with explainers, with pictures and stuff of past videos, past contributions that we've made, and help us collectively to be rich. You can also pledge. That's something we started last year. I realized some of us, it's like, hey, I'd love to do more, but I can't do more in a month, especially in the holiday month. But strategically, that's why we do it now, is because, hey, let's learn to give first rather than indulge first, because let's be honest, Christmas and all those, great holiday, love to sing about Jesus, but for a lot of us, it's about indulging. So before we get to the indulging, let's take a second to be generous and to be grateful for all that we have been given. And so you can pledge to give in November, December, and January towards whatever goal. So you can pledge to give. You can give a little bit now and give more later as we go along. But we're gonna write a check right away. Even if you pledge, we're just gonna write that check right away, because some of these needs really shouldn't wait any longer. They can be taken care of now. And I think in so doing, will certainly make an impact for us and for others, because we really do need to remember, listen, if we are in the top 10% of wealthiest people in the world, and we probably didn't earn most of that, so what should we do, right? Who am I? Who are we to be able to give so generously? You know, let's not seek worldly riches. Let's seek the one who richly provides and provide for others in response. So all this month, I just invite all of us to be rich in good deeds and generosity and be willing to share. All right, let's pray and sing a song together. Heavenly Father, Lord, thank you for David. Thank you for your story that you have for us, that we can learn what it means to be generous. Start to practice that and explore that. Start to step through our fear and intimidation of giving away that which we feel like we've earned, that which we try every day to get more of in a way, and to see how that can impact others. See how that can fill and meet real needs that most of us, we don't have to contend with, but other people do. Lord, help us to take that step of generosity to impact our neighbors, because it's going to impact our neighbors. To impact some people who are wanting to do some good in some areas that they are familiar with that we may not know about through a scholarship program. Lord, help us to provide for those kids so that they can go out and have fun with their friends and connect and build relationships as they should do at this age, and to help our wonderful school counselors who try to do so much with so little and take some of that burden off of their shoulders, and to help those wonderful kids in Haiti who don't have a family to call their own, and really their family are their brothers and sisters in that orphanage. Their family are people like us in this room who care and love, because that's what God has called us to do, even though they are thousands of miles away. Lord, help us to be generous, to make an impact, and to let that generosity make an impact on us. Let it transform, help it to transform our hearts, so we know who the real giver is, and how people who have been given so much are called to give. In your name I pray, amen. Hey, we're gonna sing one last song, and it's a happy song, as I think we should end on a happy note in the month of Be Rich. I hope you will feel challenged. I hope you will ask questions if you need help, if I missed explaining something. But this month, let us all together combined be generous and be rich in good deeds and generosity. All right, if you would stand, let's sing one song together, and we'll see you next week for a conversation with Ken.
In the presence of my enemies, I raise a hallelujah, louder than the unbelief. I raise a hallelujah, my weapon is a melody. I raise a hallelujah. Heaven comes to fight for me.
I'm gonna sing in the middle of the storm, louder and louder. You're gonna hear my praises roar up from the ashes. Hope will arise. Death is defeated. The King is alive. I raise a hallelujah with everything inside of me. I raise a hallelujah. I will watch the darkness flee. I raise a hallelujah in the middle of the mystery. I raise a hallelujah. Feel your monster hold on me. I'm gonna sing in the middle, louder and louder. You're gonna hear my praises roar up from the ashes. Hope will arise. Death is defeated. The King is alive. In the presence of my enemies, louder than the unbelief. My weapon is a melody. Heaven comes to fight for me. In the presence of my enemies, louder than the unbelief. My weapon is a melody. Heaven comes to fight for me. I'm gonna sing in the middle of the storm, louder and louder. You're gonna hear my praises roar up from the ashes. Hope will arise. Death is defeated. The King is alive.
Thank you guys so much for being here. We hope to see you again next week.
Thanks so much for joining us today. We hope you enjoyed today's service. Bruce and Kit. Bruce, thanks for saying that Infuse inspires you.
Yeah, we appreciate that.
Sarah, Rochelle, Michelle, Robin, Stacy, thanks so much for joining us online. We hope you enjoyed the message today. Caitlin, what did you think?
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. I appreciated like the take on it, right? Like
Fair.
that I really put things in perspective, and it was like enough. It wasn't too guilt or shaming, but
Yeah.
it definitely still was like convicting. So I appreciated
Absolutely.
that. It's a good thought provoker to go into the week, right? Like, how am I rich in my life, and who am I that I should be given these things? So, a really good way to start off our week as we head into it.
Absolutely. And we want to, speak of generosity, we just want to thank you all too for your generosity, whether it's your time or financially, or using your gifts to help Infuse. We really just appreciate that and appreciate your generosity to come as well.
Yes, and we are so excited to see you guys next week, same time, same place, and we will have Ken from Go Serve Global. They'll be on stage chatting with Taylor, I believe. So, looking forward to another week of Be Rich. We'll see you guys next time.
Bye.
Bye.